up, and welcome back to the Compass Traveler YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking all about how to take the jump. This is a super important episode because it's going to be diving into my life and why I chose to take the jump and what motivated me, and how it can help you kind of dig into your personal life and find things that will motivate you to take the jump, take the trip, take just anything that you've been avoiding or putting off. Do it now. So stop putting it off. Yeah, you. I do it too. I procrastinate the most important things because I admit it. I am too scared to start them. It's true. But this episode should get you to rethink this procrastination and never look back. Alright, so I was 19 when I almost died. This was a time in my life where I felt like I was getting everything wrong. I got a ticket on my car almost every day. I was living with roommates that were mean to me and purposely left me out. I was not clean, not organized, unsure who I was, and most of the time was debating on whether or not I wanted to be in college even, or if I wanted to drop out and go travel with no plan in sight and no money. With constant Adderall I was popping to focus in school and crippling anxiety, I was getting nothing. I was getting nowhere and nothing seemed good. And I felt like I was in a cave rather than a tunnel with the light at the end. My life was slowly crumbling and I had no idea how to handle it. I felt like I was in an unlucky strike of life. Like someone had pointed at my life and said, "Let's fuck it up." I know now that it was not an unlucky strike, but it was because I was negative, and my negativity was causing a snowball effect of negativity around me. I was naive and ignorant and needed a wake-up call. So, the unlucky 3 events in my life came to wake me up. 1, a car accident. 2, trauma. 3, getting diagnosed with chronic pain. Alright, as a white girl, I had a privileged life, full of fortunate outcomes, and an easily lined up life path set out for me. I didn't have many difficulties in my life, and for that, I needed this storm of pain to wake me up and bring me into reality and make me stronger. Number 1. So, a car accident of near death was my eye-opener. While this is not something anyone wants to go through, it was my saving grace. So, getting hit by a reckless, incapacitated driver on a bridge going 65 miles per hour brought me to my breaking point. The car smashed up to my seat as the car behind me flipped and slid into the side of the bridge railings. My persona of keeping it together and toughing it out was shattered. I couldn't keep up the I am happy persona any longer. I broke into tears as I sporadically screamed bloody hell while my boyfriend pulled me out of the car out of the car window. This day in my life could have been my last, easily more likely than not. It was a miracle that the car smashed up right to my seat and stopped at me. After this occurred, I kept seeing the number 320. After looking it up, I was relieved to read that it meant that angels are looking over you and you are here for a reason. This was strange, but for someone who had nearly died, I grasped onto anything that kept me feeling safe at this point. The PTSD and anxiety in a car now was no fun, but the realization that I had this one day now and no promise of tomorrow rang in my head. So, being in that kind of situation really kind of brings you into this perspective of that you only have right now, you only have this one day, so why are you putting it off any longer? Because the more you put it off, you never know if you're actually going to be able to do it because you may die tomorrow. It's always a thought. So, number 2, trauma. So, trauma does it to you, folks. How can I explain this? So, I was an ignorant and naive youth, as we all are at some point, and watching the evil and hate in the world that year was my last straw. I had recently gone to Bahamas for a spring break trip, because that's what you're supposed to do, right? And I was assaulted by a local that lived there. Not knowing all the feelings I was feeling towards men after the trip, I soon learned that Trump had just gotten elected as president. This is after knowing he was in fact charged with assault reports and quotes such as "grab her by the pussy." These events at one point felt like fears in my head, but had turned into realities. These events made me turn into a boss lady I am, and I could not handle being put down and poked out by men, and wanted to stand up for myself and show the world how powerful women really are, and I am. So that kind of trauma kind of brought me into my strength and made me want to show everyone how strong women are, and just kind of battle against the crazy social stereotypes of what a blonde white woman is. It made me want to stand up and really have a voice and do something important with my life. So number 3, not long after I was diagnosed with chronic pain every time I peed. Yes, how uncomfortable. Here's something fun. So the female reproductive system has hundreds of possible chronic issues that are incurable and really unidentifiable these days. Crazy. And here I was labeled as one of them, patient 1398. They said I had endometriosis, and they said I had chronic UTIs, and they said that I had chronic inflammation in my bladder. The list goes on. But they told me that I was never going to be able to get rid of it. They told me that this was a lifelong sentence, and that I was always going to have this stabbing chronic pain every day of my life. So I don't know what was worse, the amount of doctors I went through, the different answers I got every time, or the hundreds of cures I tried, or the repeated answers of incurable and chronic ringing in my head. I dealt with severe chronic pain for 2 years. I had 2 years of no answers, 2 years of constant misery, and 2 years of hating myself and my body because of the pain. So these 3 unlucky events changed my whole life. Instead of feeling like a normal teen, I felt like I had aged 100 years. My constant pain, my near-death experience, and my traumatic experience made me sick of life. This is where mindset came into play. While all these things truly did suck, I started looking at it in a different way. What if I could turn my pain into fuel to motivate me to start living my dream life? And this is exactly what I did. I used the pain and said it was the little push I needed every day to remind myself that I could die tomorrow, or I could lose my legs, or I could lose the ability to speak. But today I could, so today I would. I started putting my dreams first and forcing my fears to the background. I started using my money, time, and energy for my future and my goals instead of focusing on partying or being popular. I was determined to live the life I wanted and was done putting it off and letting life control me rather than me being in control of my life. I found manifestation, law of attraction, self-love, and holistic tools that later pulled me out of my rut and soon became my wings to a brighter self and future. So anytime I doubted myself, I would just do it before I could think. I bought the ticket to Hawaii and moved here without thinking because that's what I wanted to do, so why would I wait any longer? I talked to the stranger at the grocery store because I could die tomorrow, and that later led me to living in a home on the beach and a job managing an Airbnb. I resisted the hate of the internet and ignored the shaming and created online because that was my passion. I did all these things while in pain and while suffering, but used it as a tool to dig out, not to dig myself further in a hole. It is all about perspective. And once I changed my perspective and started thinking positively, started reacting, creating, and taking the jump, my trauma healed, my pain even healed, my hate healed. My mindset was healthy again. And once I opened my eyes and I looked around at what I created, I found love, a community, my soul, my passions, my dreams, and a place of abundance rather than lack. So everyone has a story. All that matters is what you do with it. So thank you for listening to my story. Please subscribe, comment, and all love.